Hi, this is Samir here, and in this video I'm going to show you different techniques for lookup which can be done in SAS. I'm going to cover 8 techniques, and which is if then statement, which is a sub-statement, data step, SQL, format step, index key, array lookup, macro, and hash. First I would start with if and then statement, which is the most simplest of all the techniques. But before going to the lookup techniques, I'm going to show you the two tables I'm using here. The name of the first table is client, where I've put all the client information, which is like the department code, client name. There are two variables here, and the lookup table I put four variables, where I've got the details of trainer name for those clients, department, and location. Now in every lookup techniques, what we will do is that we will fetch up these lookup values, which is the trainer name, department, and location. And we're going to show that here. There will be like three lookup values in addition to these two values. So we start with if then lookup statement, if then lookup techniques, which is the most easiest. Uh, if then else statement, you can use it when you have very few conditions, like when the lookup table value has many conditions or values. You cannot use this technique because then you have to write long codes. And when you can use this technique when there are like character, discrete number data, and when the data values are uniformly distributed. So now let's go to this technique to see the code. Also to remind you everyone that in this technique, if then lookup technique, you don't have to use actually the second table. It's of not much use because you will be already defining these values in the if then statement. So I mean it's not required because you will write it in the if then statement. So like the first time what I'm doing is that I'm creating a data if then lookup, and I'm defining the length because it is very necessary, so that it's going to not overlap the trainer name 10 characters, department, 15, location, and then I'm copying the SAS client, which is the only table I'm going to use in this technique, and then I'm going to write the if then statement where department code is equal to 101, then do trainer name, and after every if statement I'm going to end it like that. I'm going to define the condition if department code is equal to 201, then do the following like that. After defining that, I'm going to end the statement, and then I'm going to print the statement. So I'll show you sample. Run this, and there you go, you get the output where you have the trainer name, department, location, department. You can print it according to the order you want in the variable. I'm just This is just for the sample reference. So I'm done with the first technique, so I'm deleting this. Now the second one. This is quite simple. I've just mentioned this when you can use the data step and the SQL merge statement. Data step, for this data step you have to use the sort out technique. You have to sort the technique. So you have to sort the data before using the data merge. In the SQL you don't have to sort it. So it depends in which circumstances. In some circumstances Data step technique is more useful than the SQL merge. So here I'm going to sort the data first, and I will merge it by mentioning this client, which is table 1 in A, and trainer, which is table 2, the lookup table, because there is a common value is department code. So I'm mentioning this in the department code. I'm doing this lookup here. So again, this is very simple technique. This is inner join. I'm going to delete this and would move to the third technique, which is format lookup. There are advantages of format lookup. Format are very familiar to the most SAS programmers. Format can be used with the procedures. Format can be used to centralize maintenance of a lookup table. You can use multiple functions to create multiple variables. But you have to also write statements and codings, and it's not advisable when you have many lookup values, and when the data is the lookup value data is too much, and there will be a lot of disk space required for this. So we'll go to the code. What I'm doing here is that I'm creating a format here. What I'm doing is there, because before creating a format you have to uh, rename it. This is the common variable department code, and this I'm creating this dataset tr name, and that I'm copying the lookup table SAS help.trainer, and department code is the common variable, and this is the lookup value. Not the lookup value, this is the value for which we are seeking the other table, and I'm writing this start. This is the lookup values trainer name. I have to rename it as label, and the format name I'm defining it as trnam $trnam. Similarly, what this statement is doing is that proc format cntl in trainer name is that this is taking the value, and this table is acting as a format. Similarly, um, I'm creating a format DEPTNAM. I'm doing the same step here. Again, for third data, SAS help.trainer, rename department code, which is this will be the common in all the format, and this trainer would be considered as the trainer table would be considered as the format, and these are all the lookup values: the label, sorry, location, department, and trainer name. And here I'm invoking the format data lookup format sats. I'm copying the SAS help client table, and the trainer name I'm defining it, put department code, and then defining the format name. Similarly for department code, which is the common variable here, both the tables, put department name. format. Location similar. I'll just run the statement and see what the result is. There you go. So I hope you understood this technique. Now I would go to the index technique, which is quite simple. In the index, you have to you can also look up a value when an index exists on only the data set that contains the value to be looked up. The key statement option identifies an index that is to be used. So what we have to do is that create a data set named trainer. So this is the work table, not a permanent. And then define the index department code. On department code variable, copy the lookup table, and then in the new data, which is lookup index, I'm going to use this search statement, the copy statement, two times, and the first one is the primary table, the second one would be the lookup table, and then put key in a department code. And you see the result is going to do the same. Now most of them must be familiar with this SQL technique, which is very common, so there's not much to explain here. I'm going to create a table SQL lookup, and then from the two tables I'm going to put the variable name. This A is from the first table, the B is from the second table, which is the lookup table. From the first table and the second table, I'm going to name as A and B, and then to a in a query. Okay, that's simple. Now this is quite lengthy, I would say, and array lookup. The advantages of array is that it offers a positional order can be used, multiple values can determine the array elements to be returned. An array will be faster than a hash table or format lookup. The disadvantage can be a large amount of memory may be required. You have to write the long codes. Array can return only single value from the lookup operation. The dimension must be supplied at compile time by the hardcore macro variable. So what I'm doing here is that in the array lookup, I'm creating a data lookup by lookup array name, and dropping this uh, do loop statement, do loop, and then I'm defining the array here, three arrays. Array because there are like three lookup variables: array trainer name array, array department array, array location array, and we have four values here. We have four rows here, so I'm like defining 101 to 104, four rows, and then defining the character. Similarly, when it comes to the first record, then do the following. Here I have to define the number of observation as manops. I'm copying the table, the lookup table, and then I'm defining the arrays like this. In the tr, this the array which I'm defining tr and num array, then input department code comma 3 point called I, then is equal to trainer name. Why I'm putting this input? Because this is department code is a character variable, so I'm converting into numeric because array we have to. I've given it two loop statements, so we have to define it into an input. a numeric. Similarly, you copy the mm, primary table, which is client, and two eyes, one to man, ops, which is the total number of observation. Trainer name again, same, invoking the array in the similar fashion like this, with the name here, and these are the lookup values. Again defining it here, and if trainer name, and when it find there is no value there, then it displays the output. Like as soon as it reaches the last record, and after that if it doesn't find the record, it's going to display the output. So we're going to run this and see the result. Okay, there you go, you get the result. The second last statement is the macro lookup, which is again not that complicated. It's as simple as you can think. For those who have used macro regularly in their work, first you have to define the macro via input statement, then the calling it via skimming it. So what I will do is that in the data null statement, I'm going to define this lookup table trainer calls input. I'm defining them a macro variable department code trainer name. This is the first lookup value concatenating with the second lookup value, third lookup value. I can define three different macro variables and again invoke it here, but I'm just combining it like this. If you see there, so this would be from year to year like this. Then I'm invoking this macro in the next dataset called macro lookup, copying the primary table in the trainer name substring simget by invoking the macro department code, which is the macro variable name and department code, which is this 1 to 6. 1 to 6 would be 7 to 7 to 16 would be year to year. 23 to 30 would be year. So by this way I can get the same result. I can define three macro variable here and invoke it in different way, but I've just used it in one macro variable. I've just combined the three lookup values. That's why I've used this technique. So we're done here. I'm deleting this, which take us to the last technique, hash lookup. In the hash lookup, the key values can be either character or numeric. Composite keys can be used. Table lookup is faster than the formats, merges and joins. And a fine level of control flexibility is there. And disadvantage can be hash as a unique key is required. Duplicate keys are only allowed in the SAS 9.2 and a after version. Hash objects can be used only in the data step. Large amount of memory may be required to locate the entire object, and also the fact that we have to write long statements. So what I'm doing here is this: I'm defining hash three times because we have three lookup values. So the first, I'm creating this data hash lookup drop HLH will be hash lookup will be common in this keyword will be common in all the lookup values. Declare hash F join, this is like first join. Here I'm defining like shell is equal to F join dot define key. Define key is the code, department code. Define data is the lookup value, trainer name. F join define done. Write the statement. Similarly, I've done it for this um, department and location. Then because the three lookup values, I have to write this three times. The second thing is that I have to read the records from the table. So set, I'm copying the lookup table and writing this statement to until EOF1 set SAS help.trainer and EOF1 shell is equal to F join dot add. This statement would add each record to the hash table. Similarly for this, every time we have to first join, second join, third join, I have to write it three times. And then the last statement do until EOF4, because 3 we've already used, as I'm copying the primary table and is equal to EOF4 call missing trainer name HFL join find. This would look up each department code in the hash table, and then this is for second join, this is for third join. We have to write the similar statement in all the three. Last is equal to t join dot find output, and I'm going to run this query. There you go, you get the lookup. But this one is slightly complicated, but if you know the code properly, it can be very fun. So with this, I complete all the 8 techniques that can be used for lookup. If you have any questions and comments, you can email me at samay_analyst@hotmail.com. It would be more than welcome. Thank you very much for your time.